In combination with that, and as part of that project, we would like to develop our garden area. We've got a substantial garden area at the back of our building. We're very lucky to have that. And we're very lucky too to have been given a really nice looking plan for the garden, including a sensory area, an area for growing fruit and vegetables, a really beautiful chill out area.
In the early days of Mctc, director Angela O'Connor recalled how her eyes were opened to the potential of non-clinical therapy centres after a training excursion took her to Ireland.
It had started with some friends and myself going to Ireland for some training, which turned out to be rather different training from what we'd expected, but that's a whole other story. The people who were doing the training were running therapy centres, and they had set up over many years, over about 40, maybe 50 years, 5 different centres. One in Dublin, one in Dundalk, one in Castlebar, which is where we went. They'd set up a residential one, which had run for 5 or 6 years, but then had to close for lack of funds. And they were set up very much on the lines of what you see at Mctc today. And we thought, well, why, in all our experience, aren't we doing this in the UK? Why are we not doing this? And where are these places? And we looked around when we got back, and we found that there was virtually nothing that looked even similar to that. There were a few places, but they were usually private clinics. Even the training over here wasn't anything like up to the standard that we were seeing over there.
To the best of her ability, Angela and a single other counsellor sought funds to acquire a derelict doctor's surgery in Liscard in order to start the first Mersey Counselling and Therapy Centre back in 2011.
So I got hold of people I knew who were sensible. So I got hold of a GP, a Roman Catholic priest, a lawyer, an Anglican priest, an investment banker, and a systems analyst. And I thought these people are going to have a sensible view about this, which I genuinely thought would be, Angela, this is a great idea, but we haven't got any money. And to my extraordinary, still amazement, my just bewilderment really, they didn't say that. They said, wow, great idea, great building, yeah, we could do something with this. So the first job of the morning, when it had been raining, was to empty all the buckets, and even sometimes on Christmas Day I used to go up and empty the buckets. We had to raise small money, so we had fundraisers, and we raised money by having Christmas fairs and summer fairs, which didn't raise very much money, but it was sometimes enough for the next month's rent. And then I discovered something very, very interesting as I looked at one of these Christmas fairs one day as it was taking place. And I looked around at the people manning the stalls, and I discovered that we'd created a community. Because amongst those people, there were some of the trustees, because those good people, those sensible people that I spoke to at the beginning, became the first board of trustees. There were some clients and some ex-clients manning the stalls. All had volunteered, none of them had been asked directly. So I thought, this is very interesting. I never intended to create a community, but oops, look what we've done. Then my window cleaner came along. He'd been cleaning the windows, and he said, oh, I nearly bought this building. I tend to buy a bit of property, but I've got a much bigger building that I'll let you have at a lower rent than you're paying at the moment. So I said, well, okay. So I came to look at the building that we're in now at 3 Dudley Road. We moved in January 2015. We gained a few more trustees. We lost 1 or 2. We very sadly, just before that, we lost the chair of our trustees, Father Peter Robertson, just before we moved in. And so when we moved in here, we dedicated the library to him, because he died just 6 months before we moved in, and he would have been very proud to see how we'd moved up in the world. And we were literally at crisis point. We thought we were going to have to close. And we thought, okay, if we have to close, we have to close. Maybe we were only meant to be here for a few years. It'll be a shame, but there we go. One of our trustees, who was a retired accountant, kept sending me emails saying, I think we can make it to the end of January. If this happens and that happens, then we'll make it till the middle of February. And so it went on week by week, day by day. Until later that year, we received a very generous 3-year funding that saved us.
After securing funds, Mctc were able to flourish at their centre at Dudley Road, expanding their library, recruiting more counsellors, developing art therapy courses, meditation sessions, a dedicated massage therapy room, as well as numerous one-to-one therapy rooms, all the while maintaining their non-clinical and tranquil ethos.
And that's what we can actually really offer you, is someone that will really listen to you for as long as you need, for you to reach a point of confidence and assurance and comfort that you can fully express why you are struggling.
We'd also at this point become the charity of choice for exchange chambers in Liverpool, and that was also a huge help in keeping us going day to day. We also were very lucky in 2018 to receive lottery funding for a project that we'd applied for, and the project was to reach out to schools because we feel that prevention is better than cure, really, and if we can work with young people and younger children and teach them a little bit about how to manage their difficult feelings and how to manage stress and how to manage difficult problems and all of that at an early age, we could save a lot of the troubles later on. We hope we're not working ourselves out of a job for adults, but actually if we did, that would be a really good result. So we got a bit of funding for that, and included in that was a capital fund to develop our garden area, and that is something that was also completed this year in 2019, at which we were able to welcome a new patron to the organisation. Angela Samata has agreed to join us as a patron, and we're really delighted and proud to have her with her background in television and the arts and her work with suicide prevention.
Tonight I started thinking about what is it that keeps us going through adversity and through those really, really difficult times, and all the times that bring people to this amazing centre, and what role will the garden play in that now? Will it play a role? Will it add an additional dimension to all of the amazing work that you all already do here? So I started to do a bit of research, and I had a look. If a hospital patient has one plant in their room, it actually leads to less pain and fatigue, a shorter hospital stay. So all of these things have been reported. So the fact that you now have your amazing garden just means that now you have opened a wonderful space that means that everybody, all of those people that we've talked about, can benefit from this. So get ready to feel the benefits. It's open. Thank you.
So we have 3 projects planned going forward. The first one is for local businesses, or any businesses actually, they don't have to be local, and it's called 200 at 20. And the idea is to invite businesses to support Mctc and the work we do, the work of supporting and helping people who are suffering all kinds of mental distress, to help and to continue to help and support them. And what we're doing is we're inviting local businesses to support us at £20 a month, to just commit to supporting us at £20 a month, donating £20 a month, no more, and we'll never ask them to increase that. The second project is that we are moving forward into wanting to offer an online service. The third project is a big project. This is the project to purchase the building in which we are currently operating. As tenants, we are of course vulnerable, and also money paid in rent is dead money in many ways. So we have always had a thought to do this, but we've thought that this year is the year we're going to push ahead with this. So we will be announcing later in the year exactly our strategy for that. and looking at exactly how we're going to do that. But we want people to be aware that we will have a building fund going forwards. The main project that we want to really get off the ground is the 200 at 20. So if anybody watching this knows anybody or has a small business themselves, talk to us and we will talk you through the process. It's not very difficult. All you do is set up a direct debit for £20 a month, and we will put you on our donors page on the front of our website, and we can have your logo displayed there with our great thanks to you. And if you look at, we sit somewhere between NHS services and private services, and so I've already said we work in a completely non-clinical way. We also offer no restriction on the number of sessions that people can have.
Traditionally, the way it's been approached is very medical, very clinical, and that might suit some people and it might help some people. As you can see, we create an environment that's much more relaxing, natural, accommodating to people, and we take away that clinical environment and structure, which I think sometimes can be very inhibiting.
But this is something very simple they can do. Once they've done it, they don't ever have to think about it again, and they are actively supporting a local charity.